Today, you're going to learn about one of the most fundamental parts of your anatomy that dictates how successful you'll be at anything you try. Believe it or not, we're talking about the brain. So the brain is divided up into a whole bunch of different divisions and lobes and stuff, but we're only going to focus for today on the biggest one. Luckily, the first division is called the first brain. It's also sometimes called the lizard brain or the old brain, and it's the part of the brain that developed first. It's the stuff that we have in common with almost every other animal on Earth, whether it's a mammal, a lizard, a fish. All of them have a very similar kind of old brain. This is the part of the brain that is sometimes thought of as subconscious. It's the stuff that controls everything we don't want to think about. So heart rate, breathing speed, digestion, all of the stuff that falls into the autonomic category that we don't want to think about, but we would immediately die if it stopped happening. The most important question that this brain is asking is it safe? That is its number one concern, because this old brain only wants to keep you alive and only wants to keep the species going. It's not concerned with how high you can jump or how beautifully you can sing. It only wants to make sure that you stay alive in the immediate future. The second part of this functional division is called the second brain, or the new brain, or the mammal brain. This is the part of the brain that really makes you human. It controls language, it controls emotion, it controls all of the things that make us the most evolved dominant species on the planet, and it's what separates us from lizards and fish. The most important thing that second brain does is help to answer that first brain's question. Is it safe? The second brain says yes or no. Now that second brain, again, is where language lives and reason lives. So that means that in our old brain, the part that's always trying to keep us safe, there's no language and there's no reason. So that's what makes behavior so difficult to change sometimes. That old brain is always asking, is it safe, is it safe, is it safe? We have to speak in a language that it does understand to convince it that it is. Making these two parts of your brain work together is what makes everything possible. If your old brain took over, you wouldn't do anything. You would be stuck in your room in the dark, make sure that you're comfortable, but you would never move because movement can be dangerous. On the reverse side, if your old brain isn't active enough, then your breathing gets messed up, your heart rate gets messed up, your digestion gets messed up, and you can't live a productive, healthy, happy life either. In order to sing, first you have to breathe. You have to inhale. If you have been watching this video for this long and staying alive while you're doing it, you've taken 1 or 2 breaths so far. Congratulations. You've been practicing breathing for your entire life, and that's why you've gotten so far. You're pretty good at it. Now, in order to breathe to sing or any kind of breath-powered instrument, there's some specifics that you have to do, and I'm not going to get too much into the technique of it in this video. Look, keep your eyes peeled for something like that later down the road. But know that your lungs function by keeping an equal amount of pressure inside your lungs as outside your lungs, and that's controlled by your old brain. Your new brain can overcome that. That's why you can hold your breath for a certain amount of time, but eventually your old brain will always take over and get you to breathe again. Another piece of breathing that's really important is your diaphragm. Diaphragm is the piece of muscle that descends to expand the volume of your lungs and get that air to flow in, and then your intercostal muscles, the muscles of your rib cage, that also have to lift up your ribs, also to increase the lungs volume. Holding that up, that appoggio feeling, is incredibly important for singing and for breath-powered instruments, and that is also controlled by your old brain. Your new brain helps out with that, but if your old brain is freaking out about something and not keeping you in the groove, your breathing is going to get thrown off and you won't be able to perform as well. Then you start to exhale. That exhale pushes air through your vocal folds, and your vocal folds vibrate to create pitch. That has to be determined by how stretched or narrow those vocal folds are. What controls that? Your old brain. So again, we are always using old brain and new brain together. The better that synergy is, the better you will perform. That's right, pitch is subconscious, controlled in your old brain. Once the breath gets through your vocal folds, it works its way up, and we have to make it resonate in our skulls. That all controlled by the old brain. If we could just tell the sound where to go, tell the air where to go to bounce off the right structures of our skull, wouldn't singing be so much easier? We wouldn't need any technique at all. We could just say, resonate here, and resonate here, and resonate here, and it would be simple. Of course, it's not. There's so much that goes into it, and all of it is controlled by your subconscious, your old brain. We have to speak the language of the old brain to make anything happen. Once we master that language and can speak to it, that's when changes happen like that. What language does the old brain understand? It understands input language. And that's why my office is a gym. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was informative. Key takeaways: everything we're trying to do is make your old brain and your new brain work together better. We master that, we are that much closer to you mastering your performance. If any of that sounds good to you, stick around, follow, comment, subscribe, all that stuff that social media loves. And if you're ready to take the next step, follow the link in the description, head over to highnoteperformance.fit/join so that you can become a part of the High Note Performance community.